Evening everyone, and welcome to another Sport in Memories quiz. This week's theme, we've tied it in with the public health Stoptober, which is primarily linked to cutting out cigarettes, but also thinking going sober for October, booze, so anything really in terms of cigarette, alcohol or anything like that. And you might think, well, how are you going to relate that to sport? Well, I've actually found it quite easy to find 15 questions that relate to drinking or smoking in sport, whether that's a sponsorship, whether that's sports people who struggled with them or didn't struggle with them and it became part of their lifestyle, and how the attitudes towards smoking and drinking in sport have definitely changed over the decades. So, as usual, I'm hoping this will conjure up some feel-good memories from yesteryear. So if you're ready to go with the usual 15 questions, so we'll do the questions tonight and then I'll reveal the answers tomorrow along with the usual bit of background, etc. So how does that sound? So for Stoptober and Go Sober for October, 15 questions related to sporting memories. So number one, starting with a footballing theme. Can you name the footballer from the mid-1960s who featured in an advert to boost the profile of the Great British Pub? Can you name the footballer from the mid-60s who featured in an advert to boost the profile of the Great British Pub that was struggling at the time, really? So quite a high profile individual. Not trying to give you too many clues there. You may have seen the advert, it's there on YouTube. So that's number one. Who was that footballer? Number two, staying with a footballing theme, in his book Back from the Brink, which former Manchester United player tells the story of a career that was almost ended by alcohol consumption? In his book, Back from the Brink, which former Manchester United player tells the story of a career which was almost ended by his alcohol consumption? So maybe not the player you're thinking of. So you might have to think a few more Manchester United players who that could have been. So that's number two. Number three, moving sports, and with a more of a cigarette theme this time. Which cigarette brand had a well-known association with the Lotus Formula One team in their famous gold and black livery? Okay, so that's number three. Which cigarette brand had a well-known association with the Lotus Formula One team in their famous gold and black livery? That's number three. Fairly easy one, particularly if you're a Formula One fan. I think you'll get that one pretty quick. Number four, staying with a cigarette theme, but this time moving to a different sport. Who was the primary sponsor of the World Snooker Championships from 1976 to 2005, when the UK government banned all tobacco sponsorship in sport? So before the ban, who was the primary sponsor of the World Snooker Championships for all those years, 76 to 05, before the UK government banned this kind of sponsorship, tobacco sponsorship? Who was sponsoring it? Fairly easy one, I would have thought. That's number four. Number five, a little bit harder this one. Why was the advert of Eric Cantona showing him advertising the beer Kronenbourg 1664, why was that banned? So why was the advert featuring Eric Cantona advertising the beer Kronenbourg 1664, why was that banned? Any ideas on that one? So that's number five. Number six, moving back to smoking on this one. Which footballer began advertising Craven A cigarettes in the 1950s under the slogan, "The cigarette for me," even though this individual didn't even smoke? So I'll repeat that. Which footballer began advertising the Craven A cigarettes in the 1950s under the slogan, "It's the cigarette for me," even though this individual didn't even smoke? So who was that footballer? Quite a famous individual, going back to the 50s and the 60s as well. Brings us to number 7. Going back to football this time, and one of the Premiership clubs. Which former Arsenal legend served 58 days in Chelmsford prison following a 1990 conviction for drink driving? If you're an Arsenal fan, I'm sure you'll get that one pretty quickly. Which former Arsenal legend served 58 days in Chelmsford prison following a 1990 conviction for drink driving? Who was that Arsenal player? That's number 7. Number 8, staying with a footballing theme but jumping now to cigarettes. Which Dutch footballing star used to smoke 20 cigarettes a day but was only forced to give them up after he underwent double heart bypass surgery? Which Dutch footballing star used to smoke up to 20 cigarettes a day, only forced to give them up when he underwent double heart bypass surgery? And obviously the surgery was linked to the smoking. Okay, so who was that Dutch footballer? Anyone you can think of? That's number 8. And number 9, I'm going to change sports on this one. Cycling. Maybe quite an easy one, but we'll go with it. Which cycling world champion had sizable amounts of brandy and amphetamines in his system when he collapsed live on television on his bike just before the summit of the famous Mont Ventoux? I'll just repeat that. Which cycling world champion had sizable amounts of brandy and amphetamines in his system when he collapsed live on television on his bike just short of the summit of the famous Mont Ventoux? I'm sure most of you, even if you're not into cycling, will probably get that one. Number 10. Some sponsorship in sport this time. Which cigarette company sponsored the Masters in snooker from 1975 till 2003? Which cigarette company sponsored the Masters in snooker from 75 till 2003? Another prestigious event in snooker. For number 10. And number 11, I'm going to go back to Formula 1 this time. See if you can identify who this individual would have been. Which Formula 1 former world champion was well known for his round-the-clock booze consumption and playboy lifestyle? And you're probably thinking, that could be quite a few of them. But there's one in particular. Which Formula 1 former world champion was well known for his round-the-clock booze consumption and his playboy lifestyle? What's the first name that comes into your head on that one? That's number 11. Number 12, moving back to football this time. Which former football star once said, "I spent 90% of my money on women, drinking and fast cars. The rest, I just wasted it"? I'll just repeat that. Which former football star once said, I spent 90% of my money on women, drinking and fast cars. The rest of it I just wasted. Which well-known football star was quoted saying that sentence? Who was that? It's number 13. Getting through them quickly again. Number 13. Which team in Formula 1 did Marlboro sponsor? So which team in Formula 1 did the cigarette company Marlboro sponsor for quite a number of years and to quite a high level of success as well. Which team were Marlboro sponsoring in Formula One? That's number 13. Now, number 14, going back this time to smoking and to football. Which former Newcastle United legend explained that 9 of our teams smoked, and on 3 occasions at Wembley in the cup final, I've sat there at half-time having a fag? Who was that? Which former Newcastle United legend explained that 9 of our team smoked, and on 3 occasions at Wembley in the cup final, I sat there at half-time having a fag? Who was that? Which famous player said that? And finally, number 15, ending with another sponsorship in sport. Which sport is Guinness best known for its sponsorship? Quite an easy one really, isn't it? Which sport is Guinness best known for its sponsorship of? So that rounds off all 15. I think there's about a 50-50 balance there of cigarette-based questions, alcohol consumption questions. But it's interesting, isn't it? There's been quite a bit of Formula One, quite a bit of football in there, 1 or 2 other sports as well. So I hope it's brought back a few memories, and also how people's attitudes to smoking and drinking has definitely changed in sport, not meaning that every sports person doesn't smoke. A lot of sports people do still smoke, surprisingly. But it's definitely changed, hasn't it, over the years. So tomorrow night we'll have a look at the answers and have a little bit of a chat about some of these individuals as well. So till then, bye-bye for now.